guys, Marshall here. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be dealing with a vacuum leak we have underneath our carburetor. In the last video we had the 850 out side by side by my 124, which is in the cover there. If you haven't seen that video, I'll make sure to drop it up in the top for you. So we had these out running side by side together, and my idle RPMs were really wandering all over the place. So I was going from 1300 RPMs to 700 to 1000 to 500 to where it would almost die. And so that's when I knew we had a vacuum leak. So what's notorious for these is there's a lot of gaskets between where the carburetor sits and where it finally meets the head. Because you got the carburetor, a gasket, we have a drip tray, and then there's another gasket, then there's the small manifold and another gasket. So there's a lot of opportunity for a vacuum leak between those gaskets. If one of those three fails, then we've got a vacuum leak. And so these gaskets that I had came with the car. They were in a bag, I think in the very trunk front area. And so they were a little old. So what I think I'm gonna do is we're gonna take this off and we'll actually put some liquid. I don't wanna call it liquid. I wanna call it, here we go. Some silicone gasket maker, something like this. Well, we'll take those gaskets off, we'll coat them in this, we'll put it back on, and we'll give it a try. Now, what a lot of people don't know is how to test for that vacuum leak. So all you have to do is take some flammable brake cleaner, and since it's very high pressured in here, you can actually spray it around each area. So you're gonna take the cap off, you'll go around the carburetor. So what I did is I started at the top and worked my way down. So I sprayed at the base of the carb, and right away, as soon as the brake clean hit the base of the carburetor, the RPMs revved up because it was sucking in that brake clean and driving up the RPMs. So that's when I knew we had a leak there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring y'all closer. We'll start disassembly here. We'll get the gaskets to the table. We'll firm them up with some gasket maker and reassemble, and hopefully they'll take care of our problem. At initial startup, it would not do that. It would be a nice smooth 900, 850 RPMs. But as soon as it would start to warm up and things start to expand is when we would have our gaskets would start to fail, and that's how we get a vacuum leak. So enough talking, that's how you do it. Let's get in here and let's get it fixed. Alright, so we have our drip tray out, and it's pretty telltale what's going on. So in the light you can see that shiny reflection, and then there's some dry spots here and here, but you can see where there's moisture here, along this edge here. So this drip tray actually faces like this in the car when you're looking at the engine bay. And so when I sprayed the brake clean, I had made it around to this side, and so it was leaking through the front. And you can see, if the reflection will bring it up for you, where it goes straight through the middle and in. So our gaskets weren't sealing very well. And the one on the bottom, you can see also isn't sealing very well. You can see the indentation of where it meets the manifold, but it leaks here, all this moisture. That's just a sign that it's not sealing well at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these off. I'm going to see if I have another one. I may. And then we'll clean up these surfaces and we'll try again. Okay, so good news is I found 2 gaskets. This one was actually in my rebuild kit and I never used it because I had some other ones. So I'm glad I kept it, so that way we can replace that one. And this one is a lot more stiff. It's not as pliable as this one. So I think this one we'll make sure to put good gasket sealer on it to replace the bottom one. And this one we'll do a nice thin layer on both sides and do it on the top. That way we ensure we have a good connection, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that that'll solve our problem. Alright, so let's get this. Yeah, look how it's already all gross. Yeah, that's no bueno. So it's a good thing we found it now. Yeah, that definitely needed to come off. And we'll definitely clean this up, because you can see where it's still leaking through underneath. Oh, super stiff. And again. So let me get a wire wheel. I'll clean up the surface so it's nice and shiny, and then we have a nice good starting point. But while that's happening, I'm going to take my gasket maker and I'm going to coat it on our new ones, so that way that can kind of set up a little bit while we're working on this. That way, by the time we come back, this should be pretty ready to go back together, and we can let it sit. So let's get to cleaning. So our gasket is nice and dry. It's still a little pliable, so we're still gonna be careful when we go to set it on, but it's really set to where it has some substance to it and it's not still all slick to where it'll just slide all over the place. But you can see there's just stuck on there, so we know we have a good grip. So let's get this reassembled. We're gonna stick this all back together. It's just the reverse. And then we can give it a good start and we'll let it warm up and see if our idling issue went away. So let's get back together. All right guys, so it's the next day. We've let this all settle. We've let all of our gasket maker set and we have it on there pretty snug. We don't have it super tight because we don't want to have it all squish out. So now that it's set there, had plenty of time to dry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and give it a go. I'm gonna turn it on and see if we get rid of our wandering idles. So let's give it a shot. Let it prime for a second. Give it a squirt. We're gonna let it warm up and we'll see if our wandering idle has gone away. All right, so we've let the car warm up and we're getting up to temperature and we have gotten rid of that wandering idle. So I know that our idle is high. Let me walk away. So I know that our idle is high. You know, we're about 1200 RPMs, but once it warms up and we can finally get driving, then we can adjust our idle speed and really set that carburetor. But as of now, we've really gotten rid of it and it's a huge difference. All right guys, so that's gonna do it. This was just a really simple fix. The gasket maker is a nice kind of insurance to fill those voids, and since we no longer have that wandering idle issue, that's one thing down and one thing done. That's just kind of the risk of having those 3 layers of gasket maker or with gasket material. There's more opportunity for a break, and just like a chain, when you have multiple links in a chain, the more opportunity for a break. So having that extra thickness of that gasket maker in between for some uneven surfaces when the car warms up is a nice assurance. So hopefully we'll be able to get this thing on the road soon. We are so close to getting that dumpster out. So just make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, and as always, if you have any questions, make sure you drop them down below, and we'll see you next time.